Where do you see evidence that you live in an abundant universe? Where do you experience abundance right now? The focus of this show is co-creating with abundance to receive more and release stress. You're listening to or watching the Sedona Soul Sisters show, where we share psychic guidance and healing for embodied spiritual awakening. I'm Christel, and we're on a mission to support spiritual practitioners to access your intuition, unlock your psychic gifts, and live your purpose. You can schedule sessions in West Sedona or virtual psychic readings, angel sessions, starseed readings, Akashic recodes, sound healing, soul contract work, Reiki, life coaching, and more at SedonaSoulSisters.com. It's time to repair the healing web on planet Earth. Thank you to our listeners all over the world, with a special blast of love to listeners in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Fun fact, I spent 3 months of 2022 in Charleston, South Carolina, and for those of you who don't know, it's right over the bridge from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. In taking over being the steward of Sedona Soul Sisters and the Sedona Soul Sisters show has been a test of my ability to hold steady in the vision for my work and what I can contribute to this community. It's been interesting to see the aspects of the show that were happening with Roz and Ivory that I can't carry forward because they are not my expertise. It's been a test of me being willing to recognize what my strengths are and be willing to let go of trying to carry on traditions that I am not in a good position to do. That has been challenging for me because, of course, Ivory and Roz built a beautiful community of people. And for those of you who are still here and for new listeners, I am grateful you're here. And the reason that I share this about this show in particular is often when we are letting go of something that is no longer working, or a season has ended, a chapter in our life has ended, we've released a relationship, or any number of other ways that we are invited and sometimes forced to let go. To me, the key is trusting in that releasing to create space for something new, something more connected, more grounded, more aligned to come in. So my practice in becoming the steward, trusting the community of people that want to learn from me, that want to continue on with the vision that I'm holding, which depends on believing there is abundance. Many spiritual traditions teach that we live in an abundant universe, yet I find many practitioners struggle with actually experiencing abundance in the 3D. Part of that is often the conflicts that are created in someone's belief system, in our culture, in their family of origin, in their own personal experiences, that it creates unconscious beliefs or limiting ideas about what is possible, what is allowed, what is good, what is moral, what is right. In many helping professions and many spiritual traditions, giving is glorified to a point where people are often struggling to receive or having enough. So this show is really focused on creating a healthy balance of receiving and giving or offering. A key component of learning to recognize tangible ways that you live in an abundant world and to deeply appreciate the abundance you have in your life is by grounded, real practices, rather than it being just a concept. We live in an abundant universe. Without it being grounded in your body, mind, and being isn't helpful. A self-inquiry practice that has been really helpful for a couple of my clients that I'm focusing on this work with you will ask this to yourself. Where do I see evidence that I live in an abundant universe? And where am I experiencing abundance right now? The challenge when we get into a stressed state for whatever reason, you're not sure how you're going to pay the bills, a loved one is sick, there's challenges going on in different parts of the world. There's many reasons that your system can get stressed. And this practice of anchoring yourself in the present moment, bringing yourself into your body, paying attention to your breath, creates that lived experience of receiving what is. The challenge is receiving what isn't always easy. Receiving what is, allowing what is one of those concepts that can be thrown around. But until you have real world practice of really allowing what is, being with what is, receiving what is, it helps us move out of a fight or flight state with ourselves and our experience. When our system is in a fight or flight state, it is a physiological response. When it initiates, it is generally not a conscious choice to go into fight or flight. Your system goes into fight or flight because it's stressed from a perceived threat, from a real threat, or from your own thoughts. At first, this stress activates your system and you don't have a choice that happens or not. A lot of the time you don't have a choice. So then once you notice you're stressed, being with what is, turning your attention to the breath, noticing that there is an abundance of air. The easiest way to access living in an abundant universe is to notice that there has always been enough air for you to breathe. That is the simplest way to recognize that you live in an abundant universe. There has always been an abundance of air. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here because we can only survive a very few minutes without air before we are no longer. Receiving the abundance of air around you. I spoke about people in helping professions, that their giving channel is open, the receiving channel isn't. It is impossible to only exhale, which in this practice, inhaling and exhaling are the very fundamental practices to work with, to receive, inhale, release, exhale, or offer on the exhale. This simple practice opens both channels and supports you in deepening your lived experience of abundance. In a stressed state, the mind can get into a fight or flight state, which we spoke about, is feeling that we have to struggle or fight for what we want in our life. Yet often the mind is stressing about a potential threat. So an important practice when you find yourself feeling stressed for whatever reason, an important thing to notice in your immediate environment is, am I safe in this moment? Not, do I feel safe? Is there something or someone that is currently threatening me? Is there a reason in my immediate environment that needs to be changed? A lot of the time, it's perceived threats. Our systems get activated because of something we've seen on social media, something that we're thinking about, knowing that wars and terrible things are happening in different places in the world, that people are suffering. Yes, those things are real. Yet are they in your home or in the room that you're in that is threatening you in the moment? An aspect that has been really amplified in the last several years is threats to the way things were. I think there are more people that are struggling with but it's never going to be the same. But what if these terrible things happen and the world ends? Humanity as we know it ends. And that can create an extended stress response in your body, which our bodies are not designed to stay in high stressed states for long periods of time. Fight or flight was designed to, a saber-toothed tiger is chasing me. I need to get away so that he doesn't eat me. That is a short amount of time, and then our systems can regulate and come back to normal. One of the challenges of modern living is there are ongoing, intense things happening in the world that we know about, that in a few thousand years ago, we wouldn't have known what was happening on the other side of the world. It would have been what is happening in our immediate environment or in the communities closest to us. So we're living in a world where we can be stressed about things that are not immediately threatening us. My perspective on holding the greatest place of power in your system is the greatest way that you can contribute to supporting humanity, is for you to be as healthy, whole, connected, and living aligned with love as possible, so that you can take action to make the world a better place. Yet the intensity of stress that's happening can often make people feel like they are immobilized. Practicing being in your current space, being as whole, heal, integrated, and aligned as possible with love, with peace, with abundance, from this place of power, from my perspective, is where you are going to be able to support repairing the healing web on planet Earth and to make a difference in the places that the world needs support. The practice of receiving more, opening the channel of receiving, recognizing what is going well in your life, appreciating what you do have, doing a daily gratitude practice that isn't just a rote repeating of I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful for, from a place of just repeating it without deeply feeling it. I work with a practice called gratitude gone wild. The aspect that makes this practice different than just writing down the daily gratitudes, which often people can write down but feel disconnected from. Gratitude gone wild is a practice of embodied appreciation, a sensual experience of the things you are grateful in your life. Examples. Gratitude gone wild is when I am receiving a delicious full body hug from a friend, to really be there, to open my body, my senses to the places that our bodies are in contact, the feeling of the embrace, the connection of our hearts beating, the movement of their breath and my breath, the smell of my friend, the feeling, the sensual experience is being there in it, soaking up every juicy drop of that hug, opens the receiving channels, and it builds my capacity to receive more. Rather than if we're in the experience of disconnection for seeing the problems in the world and feeling stressed about not having what we want, or that the world is ending, or these other challenges that can be consuming our life energy and clouding our mind and keeping us from experiencing the beautiful things that we do have in our life. And this is important no matter what your current experience is. For me, so much of my gratitude practice supported me in shifting in some of the hardest periods of my life, where I didn't have money for food. I didn't know if I was going to be able to keep a roof over my head, or I didn't have a roof over my head. Yet I focused on deeply appreciating the things that I did have. a hot shower, a quiet place to sleep, a comfortable bed, food to eat. Those times when I didn't have much or barely had anything were times where I really learned to receive what I did have. It made me incredibly grateful for a hot shower and a quiet and safe place to sleep, for clean clothes to put on, for a meal, for the simple things that are so easy to take for granted. Was when this practice of gratitude gone wild for me got really amplified and activated. And of course, it's part of how I shifted out of that state of deep struggle, was to shift my attention from what I did not have into deeply experiencing, appreciating, and enjoying what I did have. I practiced opening the receiving channel, and it wasn't in a time where I was staying in 5-star hotels with more money in my bank account than I knew what to do with. It started from times when I didn't have much. That practice changed me, and it also created a feeling of, I'm okay, I've got me. It supported me in creating a really deeply secure relationship with myself, meaning that my trust in my ability to navigate challenging times and to stay anchored in the present was amplified by 1,000%. Because my reality was very challenging. I didn't know what was going to happen the next day. So the only thing I could do was to stay in the moment. In this moment, I am okay. In this moment, I am grateful for, and really enjoying and receiving what I did have. We can get stuck in the loop of wanting more. Once we have received something that we've wanted, we just go on to wanting the next thing, rather than really deeply appreciating, enjoying, delighting in the things that we do have, the abundance that we do have. If you are surrounded by all kinds of beautiful, wonderful things that you feel disconnected from, that there is this craving inside of you for more, this practice of deeply receiving what you do have will change your experience so that you start enjoying and receiving the abundance that is already available in your world. Like, having traveled outside of the United States, and to me it is still mind-blowing some of the things that in most parts of the United States come easily and are insane to my mind still to this day, like drinking water coming out of a faucet, drinking water being in the toilet. And I have lived the majority of my life in the United States, but it's one of those aspects of abundance that is just completely mind-blowing to me, that I have a refrigerator and a freezer, and that I not only have drinking water, it can be hot, it can be whatever temperature I want, dishwasher, stove, a closet full of clothes, laundry, washing machine, dryer, books, papers, pens, sheets, towels. I mean, after having lived really simply for the last couple of years, because I was a digital nomad, so I only had with me whatever fit in my car. And then in December, I moved into a place, pulled everything out of storage, and now everything is in one place. There is a level of overwhelm with having so much stuff. And for me, there is also a level of, I want to simplify. Having less stuff for me is an experience of abundance. That is not true for everyone. But for me, that is part of my experience of abundance, is having more space, having things that I have deep relationship with. Like, I don't like having things around that I don't use or they aren't useful. And some of these things are very personal, and I share them with you partly so it can help you clarify, so that you are consciously choosing what you are filling your space with, your life with. Are you really enjoying them? Do the possessions possess you, or are you in deep appreciation of most of the things that you have? This is a way of amplifying your abundance and also releasing stress, right? Like, I've been really focused on Sedona Soul Sisters for the last several months. So going through my personal things has not been a priority, which for me creates stress because I really deeply value having a home that feels like a sacred sanctuary. And while my home does in some ways feel like that, because I've been so focused on the business, I haven't had the time, energy, and attention to go through everything and get rid of things and improve the house because my focus has been on the business. Self-inquiry practice is a powerful way to shift your experience and attention. The 2 questions I'm offering you today, you can use them exactly as I share them, or you can create your own. Self-inquiry is a way of engaging both the conscious and the subconscious mind, which they say that most of our lives are driven by our subconscious beliefs and thoughts. So this practice of self-inquiry is such a powerful way to shift not only what we are consciously putting our attention on and experiencing in our lives, but to also change the bedrock beliefs that are driving our lives on a subconscious level. The 2 questions you can ask yourself. You can ask yourself this, think about it, you can speak to yourself about it, you can voice record yourself, you can journal about it, any or all of the above are great options. Where do I see evidence that I live in an abundant universe? Where do I experience abundance right now? What I think about is nature. Like, I think about the ocean. The amount of water that is in the ocean is so much more than I can ever imagine. An abundant universe. My practice from being a small child has always been like taking my mind to the edge of the universe and practicing that, which of course I can't take my mind to the edge of the universe, and the human mind in general can't comprehend such things. But this for me is evidence of an infinite universe, not just abundant, but infinite. Like, there's one that comes to mind that it shows the size of the earth, and then it shows the different sizes of the planets in our solar system in comparison, and then it puts next to them in proportion the size of the sun, and then the sizes of the other stars that are bigger than the sun, and keeps going out and out and out. And it bends my mind to tap into infinity, which abundance is one level of practice. But then if you start tapping into how do I experience infinity, how far can I expand my energy? And also knowing as far as I can go out, can I go in the smallest experience within? The abundance of my body, skin cells, blood cells, how quickly my body changes itself completely over. These ways of bending my mind from being stuck in a limited and stressed way of thinking taps my experience into what is miraculous, what is abundant, what is infinite. And from that state, we are actively opening the receiving channel to allow more in, to co-create with the abundant universe, to expand our experience of what is possible. And for most of us, most of the time we experience what is familiar. It takes conscious practice to be able to open to greater wealth, more vibrant health, a better love relationship. It takes conscious practice to expand outside of what is known. And to me, these practices that may seem unrelated, tapping into the miracle of this human body, feeling gratitude for running hot water, feeling the experience of running your fingers over the books on your bookshelves, or deeply appreciating the clothes that are in your closet, or being in the sensual experience of getting into bed at night, or a bath, or a hot shower, or a beautiful meal. There's so many ways to tap into the miracle of embodiment. And this shifts our attention and opens the pathway for more miracles, for greater abundance to come into our lives. And this is how we move from only being stressed and our world getting smaller, our experience getting smaller, to being able to release the stress. Not to deny that there aren't challenging things happening in the world, but to consciously choose how we are going to experience our own individual experience and the best pathway to create positive change in the world. And from my perspective, having more spiritual practitioners, healers, and artists who are experiencing great wealth, abundance, riches, and being able to co-create more together, more of what we want to see, feel, experience, and know in the world. As we come together in co-creating this, we can shift out of some of the devastating things that are happening on the planet more quickly. I think that Earth School is a full spectrum experience. That it's part of why we chose the experience here. And I think that is part of the point, is that there is the full spectrum. The beautiful things that are happening and the terrible things that are happening. That's part of why we chose to come here and to be embodied. You can agree or disagree with that perspective, yet that is the place that I am sharing these teachings from. As we come together as a greater spiritual community to keep turning our attention to the abundance that is in the world, to amplifying it in our own lives, for deepening our appreciation of it, to living in a deep state of gratitude, then as we co-create together in the world, we can shift the collective experience more quickly and more easily. Will we completely eradicate some of the things that humanity is facing? No, I don't think so, because it's a collective experience. What we can do is to shift our attention to creating wholeness, beauty, love, aligning with our souls as much as possible in our own lives, in our local communities, and aligning our being and doing with the greater good on planet Earth. To me, that is how we support embodied spiritual awakening. I hope this episode has been helpful to you. Try out the self-inquiry practices. Start paying attention to and deeply experiencing more gratitude in a lived experience and sense in your own life. Connect more with people in your community and continue to hold the vision for repairing the healing web on planet Earth and embodied spiritual awakening. Thank you for being a part of our community. I am honored to support you with your embodied spiritual awakening. I am super excited about a new series called Embodied Soul Purpose Life Passage, which the focus of this series, that can be done remotely or it can be done as a 2-day immersion in Sedona, is creating the life passages that most of us missed out on. It goes through the chakras and the different centers in the body and how it's ideal that they are developed and supported. This program is designed that you are going through these as an adult who has probably already gone through these life passages. This series is meant to integrate any parts of you that were lost along the way, soul retrieval, and activation of the different energy centers to support you in being able to hold all of your experience, no matter what it was, and to come into the greatest chapter of your life, no matter what your age. This is called the Embodied Soul Purpose series, or it can be done in a 2-day immersion in Sedona. To learn more about this series or the 2-day immersion, visit sedonasoulsisters.com/soul. Please leave a review and follow on your favorite podcast app. Until next time, breathe gently, listen to your guidance, and create miracles.